All right, so we've talked about the different layers of the earth, and now we're going to combine it with our art topic of the day, which is sequential art. Sequential art is art that is told as a story in a sequence, and the best known way of doing this is through comics. All right, so here we have a comic strip from Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson, and it shows a sequence of Calvin needing fuzz therapy from Hobbes, his tiger. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. There's other ways of showing how a comic can go, like we saw with that one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you read straight across, just like you would with a sentence. In these sequences that we're going to be doing, we are going to be doing a zigzag pattern instead. Ooh, that's crooked. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 instead. All right, so sequential art. Let's start with our destructive formations first. Destructive. This requires destruction in order for them to be created. All right, so go ahead and draw 4 panels. You need at least 2 panels to have a comic, and in this case we're going to have 4. So draw along with me. I'm using a marker so you can see it really easily. The first destructive one that we are going to do is an arch. This is a sandstone arch. It starts with a very thin hill out in the desert. A lot of sun because it's nice and hot. And when the wind blows, it drives sand into this hill. Eventually, a little crack happens. And that's all it is. Just a little crack. And eventually the sand and the wind, and sometimes the rain, if there is any rain during the rainy season, starts to wear away at this crack and a hole starts to happen. It's slowly being destroyed. And eventually that hole grows and grows and grows until you have an arch like you would see at Arches National Park in Utah. I'll have a PowerPoint slideshow for y'all to look at after we're done with all this. All right, so an arch has to do with erosion to create the hole to make the arch. All right, another 4 panels. Next one we are going to do is canyon. Canyon starts off easy enough. You have a little river, and you have strata of soft rock, usually sandstone, limestone, or other rock that can be affected by a river going through it. So the river starts pretty shallow. It could be something as simple as a stream. But as it carves away, though, it's starting to carve into the rock that we have. Years and years pass by, and that trench that river is at the bottom of really starts to sink, cutting into this soft rock. And eventually, what you're going to have all the way at the bottom is a river flowing at the bottom and a large canyon with steep sides. Think the Grand Canyon. It actually does have a river at the bottom of it. Or Zebra Canyon, Rainbow Canyon. All of those canyons have a water source still cutting into the bottom of it. Sometimes dry, you can walk at the bottom of them, but you better be careful, there's a storm nearby because that canyon is going to fill with water very quick. Last destructive one that we're going to look at is a very interesting one. This one often goes on the news. because they're very odd. This one's called a sinkhole. Everything on top will have a road up here and a car. I do not draw cars, okay? I'm just going to say that now. I hate drawing cars. But we have a car on top of the road. But what's happening underneath is that an underground source of water is starting to collect. And it's eating away at the soft rock from the inside. Canyon is from eating away from the top down. This one's eating away from the inside. Cars go by, people go to their jobs. No idea what's happening underneath the surface. And that starts to really grow. Parts fall down, fill in the bottom with rubble, pushes the water further up. When it rains, it drips down from the top and starts filling up this cavern on the inside. And eventually, this is when it starts getting really dangerous, and you still can't see it. You might see the land starting to sink in just a little bit, but now we're starting to see cracks happen. Sometimes that's another indicator that something is very wrong underneath. That this is about to go, and when it goes, oh, does it go. Everything on top collapses. All the water runs out usually, but sometimes it's left in there. And your car just went boop into the sinkhole. So a sinkhole just yawns open. It can swallow whole houses, take out whole streets. But it only can happen in certain areas of the world where the ground is very soft and usually has rock like limestone underneath it. Florida is really well known for its sinkholes. And I'll have a video posted in the Google Classroom for y'all to watch a sinkhole opening up and taking a few trees in with it in the middle of a lake. All right, so join me in the next video for constructive formations instead.